Hi everyone, and welcome to week 1 of self-care for healthcare. So this practice today is going to be just a little short yoga sequence. It's meant for all levels, so if you've never practiced yoga before, don't be afraid. We aren't going to get into anything really intense or that seems really uncomfortable in your body, and you're obviously allowed to modify or choose to do something or not do it at all. It's your body, your bodily autonomy that you can also practice with as well. As well, there's nothing required in terms of equipment. If you have a yoga mat and you want to do practice on that, that's fine too. And if not, you can also do this just laying on a soft carpet or a towel, or maybe if you want after a big shift, do it in your own bed, and that's totally fine too. So we'll just start with our first pose, which is a Shavasana pose. So with that, you will just have to get down onto your back, and then you can let your legs go out nice and long in front of you. And you can even let the feet go out nice and wide. And then as well, you can relax the shoulders, allow them to shrug underneath you, and bring the hands out to the sides. So once you find the Shavasana pose, you might find that your toes fall outwards and your fingers just curl in gently like they would naturally curl in. And if it feels okay, you can close your eyes. And we'll just start with a nice big deep breath in and a big breath out. And just allowing yourself to settle into this space in your body, just noticing how you're feeling. Are you able to allow your shoulders just to relax a little bit more? Feel as you breathe out, maybe they fall a little closer to the mat or to whatever you are laying on. Maybe you can allow your fingers to curl in just a little bit more. Your toes to get a little bit heavier. Feel your hips softening down. And just take this moment just to feel your own breath moving in and out. The rise and fall of your chest. Can you trace where that oxygen is moving through? So maybe you're breathing in through the nose, through the mouth. Can you feel if it moves into just the lung space and in the upper shoulders, or maybe you feel that expansion through the entire rib cage and into the belly? Perhaps you feel as you exhale how that release allows you to fall a little bit further into the space and softness. From here, we'll just start to find a little bit of movement. So invite your fingers and your toes to move. Maybe find some turns through the wrists, through the ankles. Maybe the elbows and the knees. And from there, we'll just allow ourselves to stay on our back, but we'll just start to bring the soles of the feet together. The knees will go out nice and wide, and we'll create a little bit of a diamond shape or a butterfly shape with the legs. And allow the knees to fall outwards. If this feels really intense for your inner thighs, you can always choose to bring the heels further away from you. Maybe it's easier to bring them in a little closer. And the other option is if you have anything like pillows or even yoga blocks, you can bring it under the knee or the thigh to support you. So just breathing in there, feeling steady breaths continuing to go in through the nose, filling up the lungs, the belly. Feeling the release with your exhale. Maybe if there's any tension in the hips, you can notice that the knees fall just a little bit further to the sides. after your next exhale, you can use your hands, help draw the knees back together again. And from here, you can just leave your left foot sole on the mat and then just start to draw the right knee in towards your chest. And bringing the hands around the shin or the thigh. And again, invite a nice big deep breath in through the belly towards the thigh. As you exhale, maybe you can draw the knee in a little closer towards you. And for us, this might feel really good where it is. Maybe we feel it into the hip. But if there's any sort of sharp pinch, you might want to take out the knee a little wider. Maybe you want to bring it in a little closer to center. Depending on your hips, one might feel better than the other. So find that space. And see if you can steady your breath there. Can you relax in your shoulders? Continue to stay heavy in the hip. And we'll release. Next, exhale, just switching sides. So right foot grounds down, and from here, left knee can come in towards the chest. You can use your hands around the shin or the thigh. Again, find that deep breath, belly rising to thigh. As you breathe out, can you feel how you can create space and draw the knee in a little closer? Again, acknowledging if this feels okay in the hip or if there's a sharp pinch that needs to be taken wider or closer into center. And one side might feel quite different from the other, so it's okay if it seems easier or maybe it seems harder on the second side. Breathe here. Once you finish the last exhale, you can release. Bring the foot sole back down to the mat. And we'll just roll over right or left side, pressing through palms, and find your way up into a tabletop. So a tabletop position allows you to bring your hands underneath the shoulders and your knees underneath the hips. And just press the ground away from you, so really feel the rooting in of the fingertips. Can you separate the fingers out nice and wide? Take up space with the palms. And from here, we're just going to find some spinal movement. So as you inhale, can you drop the belly down? Feel your pelvis tilt downwards. And then you're going to try to pull the chest through upper arms as you look up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, press the ground away from you, round out the spine, feel that space between the shoulder blades, and maybe you can start to look at the belly button. Inhale, again find that reverse, belly draws down, chest pulls through, gaze lifts. Exhale, rounding out the spine, pressing the ground away. One more. Can you find movement here? Imagine moving vertebrae by vertebrae, one section at a time, uncurling, unfurling as you bring your gaze up. And exhale, rounding it out. As you breathe in, get yourself back, that neutral spine, so natural tabletop here. And we'll just start to allow ourselves to come to sit onto the shins. Maybe we need to take some circles, move out the wrists. And from here, we'll just find a nice little forearm stretch. So you'll start by just bringing the palms back down to the mat. And then maybe you just turn one palm of fingers out towards the edge of the mat or towards the edge of the bed. And maybe you do one at a time, or you can do both. And maybe you just move side to side, and this feels okay. And from there, if you want to add on a little bit more, maybe fingers turn in towards you. So again, one hand at a time or both hands. And this time, see if you can really root down through the fingertips and press the heel of the hand down. keep a little micro bend in your elbows and see if you can draw your seat backwards. Feel that stretch through the forearm. Just a couple of breaths. And then from here, if you'd like to try maybe a little bit more of a hand stretch, see if you can start to grip the fingertips down and slowly peel the heel of the hand and maybe the palm up as the fingers stay pressing down. Maybe you deepen that stretch, maybe you feel it into the palm as well. And from here we can release. And remember, if you did one side at a time, maybe just make sure you do the other. And if you have released, maybe take some nice new wrist circles here, let it go. So we did the one part of the forearm, we're going to do the other side of our forearm. So similarly, this time we're going to bring the top part of the hand down onto the mat. Fingers will spread wide. You're going to, again, find a little micro bend in the elbow, so you don't want to have your elbows fully straightened out. And see if you can really press the fingertips away and down onto the mat so they're separated out nice and wide. And then from here, see if you can find your seat leaning back, maybe find a bit of a stretch through that other side of the forearm. You can play around with the bend of the elbow if it helps. Again, do one hand at a time if it feels really intense. From there, we're just going to find a little bit more of a fun sensation. See if you can try to curl your fingers in towards you. So try to make a fist. Hold that. And then release. You can come off, sit onto your shins, maybe find a little bit of circles again with the wrist. From here, we'll allow ourselves to come back down to the mat through tabletop. And we're going to just start to bring the right leg through in between the palms. So it's down in front of us and we're kind of in a lunge position here. You can walk your left leg a little further back behind you. You could keep your back toes tucked or untucked. If you need some cushioning for the knee, you can put a cushion underneath the left knee. And then just set yourself up so your feet are about hip width distance apart in terms of width. And your right knee and ankle are in alignment here. Your hands can just stay on the floor, just framing that right leg, and maybe you can see if you can press that right foot down and feel that energy drawing up the leg so the right hip kind of pushes backwards. And simultaneously, see if you can try to press through the left leg, so whether the toes are tucked or untucked, and almost try to bring the left hip forward. You might feel this in through the hips as well. Maybe you feel it into the front of the quads, into your hip flexors. Just stay here for one more breath. After our exhale, we're going to start to walk the hands. We're going to frame the right leg as we walk the hands back to the hips. The right leg is going to extend out, so the knee will straighten out. And see if you can flex your toes towards you and really press that right heel down. So from that energy, you're going to feel that right hip continue to draw back as the leg straightens out. Can you keep the spine long? So keep your chest lifted. Imagine you're growing taller through the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, maybe you find a little tilt to hit and hinge the pelvis here, hip folding, so that you can fold over right leg. Maybe you have a hamstring stretch. And your right knee might need to have a little micro bend into it, and that's okay. If your hands feel super far away from you, it feels really tight, this is when pillows, big books, blocks can help you out. And then as you breathe in, your head lifts. And then you can walk your hands back to frame right leg. And from here, just step back, find your way into that tabletop. And we'll do the same thing, second side. So the left foot draws itself in between the hands. See if you can find the energy through the legs to really squeeze the inner thighs together. So that left hip pulls back, right hip pulls forward. And then as you exhale, straighten out through the left leg, toes flex back. Maybe you can find yourself into a hamstring stretch here. And breathe. Inhale, start to look forward, walk your hands to frame the left leg. Maybe you can find that energy, keep pressing, squeezing inner thighs, just find that bit of a low lunge. And then step back, find your tabletop. And from this tabletop, we're just gonna find our way back onto the back. So you can just walk your knees in, come back down to a seat. We're just going to release a little bit into the hip flexors. We did that a little bit in the low lunge, see if we could find it on our backs as well. So I'm going to use my blocks because I have yoga blocks, but if again you have pillows or other things, maybe like books to stack on each other, this is where you can use that. You're going to have them just beside you, and you're going to lay down on the mat so that your back is back and planted, and your feet are going to bend, soles of the feet will walk in towards you, and you're just going to use your feet to lift up the hips. And this is where you can place those blocks or those books underneath the sacrum, that flat part at the base of your spine. And from there, maybe you allow the hands to fall out towards the sides, maybe eyes closed. This might feel really good for you as it is releasing through the hip flexors and through the front side of the body. If you want to change the shape, maybe you like to let the knees knock in together while the feet go wide. My favorite position here is to actually allow both of my legs to straighten out and get long and heavy so that I really feel the release through the front of the legs here. Once you've done that, you can stay as long as you'd like. Maybe it feels really good here. I like to linger in this pose. And whenever you're ready, you can come back out to your Shavasana. Just allow everything to get long and heavy. Maybe close the eyes again. And just take few more breaths here, resting in stillness. It's very important that you allow yourself the opportunity just to be your own company. Let go of everything else that happens in your day and your week. And can you just bring that attention, that focus into yourself, being right here and right now. And you can choose to stay here as long as you need. If it feels like you need more time, then take it. I'd like to thank you very much for joining me in this little practice. I'll have another one next week as well for you. Again, it will be very beginner friendly and will just allow you that ability to find some rest in your body and in your mind. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.